Hello and welcome to this new presentation video of jazz theory and workbook. Today we're going to talk about the Sus4 chord. So the Sus4 chord is one of those basic harmonic tools that you really need to understand and to master. You'll use the Sus4 or the suspended fourth chord in mainly two contexts, the modal context and the tonal context. And today we're going to talk about the latter. But before jumping into the subject, let's brush up a little bit on this whole tonality concept, just to be sure that we're on the same page. So simply put, tonality means cadence or cadences in order to define a center, a tonal center, whether it's temporary or for the whole song. To play a cadence, we need two or three chords, three functions that come in a sequence. So first we have the 2 or the 4. This is the subdominant chord. It's a preparation chord, which is stable. Then we have the dominant, the 5, which is very unstable because it contains the triton. And finally, we have the tonic chord, which is very stable and defines the tonality. So back to the dominant. We said that this chord is very unstable because it contains the triton. So this is the 3rd and the 7th of the chord. I'm sure you know this. What you need to understand is that with this interval, with the triton, comes a gravitational pull. The leading tone must rise to the tonic and the subdominant must descend to the mediant. It's a movement that is absolutely natural both in major and minor. So I don't have time to go into details right now because that's not the subject here. But know that this attraction is it's kind of a rule, or even better, it's a law. It's a harmonic law. And you have to be aware of this law, even if you want to break it. Breaking the law is fine, but you have to know it in order to break it. Otherwise, you're not breaking anything, you're just fooling yourself, right? When dealing with a dominant chord, we have two options really. We can either increase the tension or release the tension by moving to the next degree, to the tonic. We resolve, in other words. But there is a third option. We can delay the expression of the triton and therefore the dominant. And how do we do this? By using the Sus4. So now let's take a look at the way we can voice this chord. So sus means suspension, and it's a good way to start. So let's take a 2-5 in G major, right? So we have A minor 7 with a 9, so A minor 9, D13, and G major 9, right? So what I'm going to do is that instead of playing this D13 right away, right, we have the D7 with the triton here, F sharp C. Well, I'm going to keep the G with my left hand. See, I'm prolonging this sound, and therefore we hear a suspension. This is a suspension, right? So, well, this is the easiest way to create an interesting Sus4 voicing by changing the bass note only. See? I'm keeping the notes of the subdominant chord with the exception of the bass. The bass note is the dominant. So it's kind of a mix between these two functions. But since we don't hear the triton, we don't hear this, it's not a dominant chord yet. I use the suspension. So let's take another example, still in G, but this time we'll start with another voicing, right? So I'm playing an A minor 9, close position with my right hand, and we apply the same principle. We change A into D, right? We play the dominant. See? Sounds familiar? It should. That's the way Herbie Hancock would voice this chord, right? So let's take a final example. This time we use the position 1, 5, 3, 7, 9. Same chord, different position, right? See, and once again, we apply the same principle. We change the bass note only. So we do this. Instead of playing A in the bass, we play D. Look. We can even do this. See how you come up with a voicing I'm sure many of you are not familiar with, because most of the time we're told that we're told not to play a second or a 9 in this register. Well, of course, it's a big mistake, but still, by just changing the bass note, we can actually find interesting voicings. How do we use this chord? How do we modify a chord progression with the sus4? So like I said, very simply, we're going to delay the expression of the dominant. So I know it sounds simple and easy when I say it like this, but don't underestimate this approach, because it can give you very new and interesting sounds, fresh ideas, right? So to demonstrate this, we're going to take an exercise from the book, and then we'll harmonize the beginning of How High the Moon. So before we start, and just so I don't give you the impression that I'm saying one thing and the other, when dealing with the triton in jazz, we tolerate a sort of incomplete resolution, meaning that not both notes of the triton have to resolve. For instance, the third of the dominant can remain, right? And it will become the seventh of the tonic chord, right? So it's not really a breaking the rules sort of thing. It rather has to do with the style and the fact that jazz deals mostly with tetrads, right? So this being said, you could absolutely execute the pure contrary motion that is expected. See, as a matter of fact, it would be a good idea when possible to start or end a song with a pure triad. This will create an even more stable feeling to the harmonic progression. It's something that Keith Jarrett, for instance, does a lot, ending on a pure triad chord. It gives us the feeling of achievement. We know when we hear this that the song is really ending. I'm on page 134, and with the first exercise, you are being asked to add the sus4 chord or chords where appropriate. So let's jump to the second exercise, the 1.2. So what we do first, quick analysis. We're in B flat, obviously, and the song begins with the 2-5 that confirms this tonality. And then we go to the third degree, the D minor. So as instructed, we are going to add a sus4 chord before the dominant. So the dominant here is F7. So we just have to play F7 sus4 before this chord, right? But just to show you how relevant this choice is here, take a look at the melody. See, we must always start from the melody, because what's really funny here is that the melody is actually telling us what to do. Because it says B flat. See, we hear the sus4 in the melody. So of course, we could play a regular dominant chord and let this B flat sort of clash with the third clash. After all, it's an eighth note. But let's say that it's a ballad and you want to linger on this B flat a little bit. There, the easiest and most natural way to go would be to add the sus4. It's the obvious choice. So it would go like this. See, and we wait till the very last moment to hear this F7. We actually, the B flat went down to the A on the very last eighth note of the bar. See? And now we have to move. See? We could even use an inversion. Right? So you'll notice that I use a B flat major 9 first inversion instead of the D minor. So it's perfectly fine, and I'll tell you why in another video. Now let's go through the beginning of How High the Moon. I will stop here. So, right? So we have G major 9, G minor 7, C7, going to F major. We'll stop here. So of course you can keep the original changes and play the melody like it's been written. Nobody would complain. But what I want to show you here is that before making any drastic modifications, like going for new chords or new harmonizations, like that have nothing to do with the song, before doing that, you should go for the easy or regular changes, right? For the obvious ones. Because here, look, if we take a look at the melody, right? And then on this C7, we have the fourth in the melody. So once again, it's funny because the melody is actually telling us what to do. It is actually saying Sus4. Sus4. See? Then we're going to play the regular C7 that will go to F major. You could do something like this. When doing this, you should explore all the possibilities, all the voicings that you know, and even explore different registers. We could play the same melody an octave higher. See? Again. Works too. Well, that's it for today. I hope this will be helpful. Don't forget, theory is good, it's important, but it's not enough. If you want to make progress, you need to practice. Good luck with this, and I talk to you guys in another video. Bye.